In just over a week, Illinois' indoor mask mandate is set to expire. While the governor is fighting a losing battle to keep rules in place inside schools, confusion continues as venues start to adopt their own mitigation strategies. Well, for now, the CDC says despite declining metrics, it's still recommending masks in most indoor settings, but health officials could release updated guidance in really the next few days. I spoke with senior advisor to the White House COVID-19 task force, Dr. Cameron Webb, about what comes next. And Dr. Webb, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. So this past week, CDC Director Walensky said guidance may change as soon as next week about masks. You know, it looks as though they're very aware that people are getting fed up with wearing masks and all of that. And maybe they're a little bit behind the times, but I don't know. Is that what it is? Or is the CDC being affected by public pressure?
I certainly don't think that's the case. You know, I don't think it's a matter of being behind the times. Our true north with regard to the pandemic response always has been and will continue to be the science. So I think from CDC's perspective, it's having that level of data-based rigor to make the new guidelines and recommendations. And so, you know, we, from the White House perspective, we really defer to CDC to do their independent review, to kind of lean into their scientific process to make their recommendations. And so we're eager to hear what they come back with. But I think there are a couple of key elements that we know are important. And the first thing is making sure that we still have that goal of avoiding ongoing risk to a lot of individuals. For some folks, there's greater risk than others, even at this level, at this point in the pandemic. And so we want to be really conscious of that and really acknowledge that as well.
So people are getting different advice depending on what stations they're watching for their news, national, federal, governors, mayors. What's your recommendation? Who should the average person listen to decide what the best approach is?
Well, you know, some of it is listening to common sense. You know, I think we're 2 years into a pandemic. People have had a lot of experiences, even, you know, prior to even having vaccines available, people knew what they had to do in their communities to avoid ongoing transmission. So there's an ongoing utility to mitigation measures that we've learned over the last 2 years. And we hope people hold on to those learnings because as the pandemic has showed us before, there can be new variants, there can be surges in cases, and people need to be ready to respond. I think your local public health leaders are always going to be your best sense of what the weather is locally, you know, a sense of what the transmission levels look like. But I think that from a federal perspective, you can't make a single recommendation that's going to apply to every single place. So it's about creating the space for local and state leaders to give good guidance in the best interest of their communities. But I think people start locally, listen to those trusted local messengers like providers who are having your care for a while, and that'll get you started.
Masks for kids. You know the debate. I don't have to go through that. What's your advice? Do we need masks, or is it causing all of the pressures and tension and social issues that some people think it does?
Yeah, it's become a political football. I mean, I think masks in and of themselves aren't that controversial a matter for the majority of kids. I do recognize for some kids, particularly those with disabilities, there certainly are some challenges around ongoing mask wearing. I think across the board, we can all agree that we don't want our kids wearing masks any longer than they need to in order to stay safe. But we do want to ensure that school settings are safe spaces. I know for my 6-year-old and my 10-year-old, part of why I'm glad that they're still wearing masks is because it minimizes the likelihood they're going to have to miss days of school, which would lead to me missing days of work. And I think for a lot of parents, that added layer of protection protects some of their economic interests as well. So there will be ongoing reasons why parents will have their kids wearing masks. And I think a lot of that will help prevent ongoing transmission in school settings.
So your kid's 6 and 10, which means you're not in the under 5 group. So as you know, Pfizer this past week said they're holding off maybe till April until they proceed with vaccines for those kids. I'm sort of curious. The reaction could go one of two ways. It could be, aha, these things aren't safe, or it could be, oh, look, they're taking their time and they're being cautious. What's the right way to view the Pfizer decision?
It's certainly the latter. I think that we all want vaccines available for folks as soon as possible, but I think it speaks to just the level of rigor that goes into FDA's process. Understanding that there are going to be a lot of disappointed parents with kids under 5 out there, they still held the line. They still said, we want to see the data from that third shot. I think it really just reinforces the high level of quality and review that went into the 5 to 11 vaccines. And the adult vaccines. The adult vaccines at this point got full FDA approval, that gold standard approval. And so, that's good news. I think we want to see that same standard applied, especially to our youngest kids.
Obviously, we have a couple of very serious risk groups, the young people, the older people with comorbidities. But what do you say to people who, and some of this is anecdotal. I know somebody, they had their shots, they were boosted, and they still died of COVID. So what's the point?
Well, that we know the risk of dying from COVID-19 if you're vaccinated and boosted, it's 97 times lower than if you're unvaccinated. And so it doesn't mean that it never happens, but it means the likelihood is so much lower. And anecdotally, stories like that are always going to, become a lightning rod. People will see that and they'll point to it as proof positive. But the reality is there have been millions of lives saved by the vaccination effort. The data is very clear on that. And so we just have to continue to make that point. I think that what's really important is that we know vaccines are good at preventing hospitalization and death. We want to continue to lean into that, especially with the booster campaign and especially with our kids. It's the best way for us to keep our society safe.
Do you think there's a group of people that you just can't get through to? They've decided for political reasons, religious reasons, whatever, the vaccine's not for them. Sometimes we'll give them a $100 gift card. That doesn't do it. Are there some people that just aren't going to get the vaccine?
I have some patients who, I'm here in Virginia, who say they're just not going to stop smoking. But there's always a reason to continue that conversation. There's always a reason to continue to show them the science, the evidence behind what's in their best health interest. And I've told you, and I can tell you over the course of my career, many of those patients have decided to stop smoking for various reasons. And so what I'll tell you is that when it comes to preventive medicine, as providers, our job is to always keep the good information in front of people so they have additional chances to make those decisions. I think you'll find that there will be people who continue to make the decision to get vaccinated. It's not going to be by the millions like we've seen it earlier, but it will continue to happen and it's going to continue to save lives.
Important question I have to ask every doctor I talk to, which is, what does the new normal look like? And what I mean by that is obviously, I'll ask you that, but given the fact that there may very well be variants in the future. So do we say, oh, well, yeah, masks could be back. We could be going back. What is the new normal?
Yeah, I think that that's a lot of what's happening right now, that preparedness process from CDC, from the White House, is talking about and thinking about how we will continue to respond to ongoing threats. What's been interesting is, we've had a couple of waves now. We had the Alpha variant, Delta, and now Omicron, all with their own characteristics, but each of them added to our understanding of the best approaches to really prepare for these surges. And so I think that we're better situated than ever to prepare for future surges, knowing how to get resources into places quickly and how to update the public health guidance to those locations as the surges go on. So yeah, there's a strong likelihood that we'll have additional variants coming down the pipeline, but we'll have a more immunized population than ever before. So we have to make sure that we balance those things with the recommendations that come out. I don't think that we're, at an imminent point where COVID's going to be in the rearview mirror. I think we're going to continue to be engaging this virus, but it won't have the kind of disruptions to our everyday life that it's had in the past 2 years.
All right, Dr. Cameron Webb and Counselor Webb, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're everything my parents wanted me to be. Congratulate you. Thanks for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. You take care.